All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book of the Bible. All right. So I have this article here coming from the Herald, all right, and the title of this article reads, Digital ID Protest, Video Projected Onto Walls of Edinburgh Castle. All right, so you have people around the world, all right, that are protesting against this digital ID, this digital age. All right, so, the point that I want to make is that, since you have people that are protesting, all right, and that are against this digital ID, all right, it goes to show you that these elites, they have to create, a right type of chaos, a chaos so great that the people have no choice, all right, but to take the MOTB, all right, the MOTB being the mark of the beast, all right, which is the RFID microchip, all right. There's going to be a great type of chaos, a certain type of chaos that's going to, that's going to force the people to take the microchip, man. That's the whole point I'm trying to make, because, you got uproars of the people against this digital age. And why is a digital age coming? All right. It's all a workup, all gradualism, to the mark of the beast, the MOTB. All right. The microchip. All right. Because the elites have an agenda to bring forth a new world order. And part of that new world order agenda, all right, is to enslave this entire earth through their technology, which is the RFID microchip, which is, the mark of the beast that the Bible speaks of. All right. So, again, the elites are going to create a chaos so great, all right, to the point where people got no choice. They're going to be forced, all right, to take the MOTB. And that's where faith comes in for the elect. See, the elect are going to be good, man. Like Isaiah 65 says. Right? Like 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter says, while everyone is in mourning and suffering, while everyone is starving, and thirsting and eating themselves and eating their children and their daughters and sons, right? Because that's how bad the famine is going to get out here, man. When all types of chaos and hell and anguish and suffering and mourning and death, all right, is taking place, the elect is going to be good. They're going to be laughing and praising Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. So that's really the main point that I want to make, because we're going to read this article. All right. But, you got people uprising, all right, creating uproars against this digital age, this digital ID, all right, that pretty soon, is going to lead up to the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip and be made mandatory under the punishment of death. All right, so it says digital ID protest, video projected onto walls of Edinburgh Castle. All right, so you got people protesting against this digital age, man. Showing you that the elites, they have no choice to make a certain type of chaos to force the people into receiving or taking the MOTB, the mark of the beast, man. So that's what you have coming, man. All right, get ready for it. All right, get ready for chaos to erupt. I'm talking about a chaos so great. All right, you're going to know that a higher power is doing this, man. Because it's the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai that's going to create this chaos. Okay? All right? When you read second Ezra, all right, the 16th chapter, the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, he goes into that, man. And the 15th chapter, he had a very great vision of these end times. All right, this great chaos is getting ready to erupt, man. All right, that's why he said, woe is me, woe is me. who shall deliver me in those days. Because he received visions that other prophets haven't received, man. You know? And his visions were detailed. All right? He said famine, death, and destruction. You know? So that's the type of chaos that's getting ready to come. That's going to force the people to take the MOTB, the RFID microchip, right? So, you know, you have, it says a protest message targeting the UK's government approach to digital identity was projected on Edinburgh Castle on Wednesday. All right, the projection, which showed a looped video, was displayed on the side of the historic landmark as part of a campaign by the Together Declaration. All right, the group said the message was aimed at Prime Minister Keir Starmer ahead of a series of similar protests planned across the UK this coming weekend. Demonstrations linked to the Scrap Digital ID campaign are due to take place on Saturday, May 25th, between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. in Edinburgh, London, Belfast, and Cardiff. All right. It says the Together Declaration, which describes itself as a grassroots movement defending civil liberties, claims that despite ruling out compulsory digital ID, the government is continuing to introduce systems that amount to mandatory identification. The group argues that digital verification is increasingly required to access services and participate in everyday activities. Now, why is that, man? All right, why is everything becoming digital? All right, because the elites, all right, are conditioning this earth, all right, to move forward a digital age, to get everybody used to living in a digital age, all right, so that when the mark of the beast is implemented, all right, people are not going to find anything wrong with it. They just think it's going to be another advancement towards society, right? Oh, yeah, I'll line up. I'll line and take it. You know, that's what the 2/3 are going to say. And all these people of the other nations are going to say, yeah, I'll take it, you know, no problem, right? Like the zombie they are, not knowing what the hell is going on, not knowing what's happening, right? All right, but the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord are telling you this is coming and it's going to happen. They're telling you that the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip, and they're telling you not to take it. So you elect out there, all right, that are taking heed and listening, all right, the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. All right, and it's going to be made mandatory, man, under the punishment of death. All right, because you've seen Apostle John in the book of Revelations, he's seen the prophets and the servants of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai being beheaded for not taking the mark of the beast, being the RFID microchip. All right, so we're telling you first and foremost, man, before it happens. All right, so that when it does happen and that when it does come and it is made mandatory under the punishment of death, all right, you're going to know that a prophet has been among you. And you're going to know that this is the mark of the beast because we told you, man. Right? So you know to stay away from it. You know not to take it because that's what the mark of the beast is. And if you take the mark of the beast, all right, you become Satan's lollipop. You become Satan's lollygag. You become Esau Edom's lollipop, man. You know? And you will be destroyed by nuclear destruction in this third world war. All right? When these ICBM missiles that carry multiple nuclear warheads hit America. Hundreds of them. Right? These ICBM missiles hit these ICBM missiles carry about 10 to 15 nuclear warheads, and hundreds of them, all right, hundreds of them, all right, are going to hit America. America is going to be completely wiped off the face of this earth by nuclear destruction. All right, thus save the Lord, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, thus save the Bible, man. You know, his word. All right. So let's keep reading. The group argues that digital verification is increasingly required to access services and participate in everyday activities. Yeah. All right. It's going to keep increasing, right? All right. Until the mark of the beast is made mandatory. All right. It says the campaign has previously used projections during major political events at the Labour Party conference, all right, in October 2025. See, you got to understand, all right, this is not Keir Starmer that wants this, man. All right, he's just a puppet for the elites. All right, the elites use these the elites use the leaders of these nations, you know, kings and leaders of these nations, all right, to bring forth their agenda. You know, they're all puppets. They're all their strings are all being pulled by the elite bankers, you know, namely the Rothschilds. All right. That's, you know, it's the plan of the elites, man. All right. So again, it says the campaign has previously used projections during major political events, all right, at the Labour Party conference in October 2025. Images depicted Mr. Starmer as Big Brother, all right, were displayed on buildings in Liverpool, all right. Alan Miller, co-founder of the Together Declaration, said from continuing to try to force 8 million directors, all right, onto one login digital ID, to peddling the under 16 social media ban, this government is continuing its attempt to have us all verified to participate. This was not in any manifesto, yet here we are again at Together. We are pushing back, yeah, because it's the elites of the bankers, all right? And you got people fighting against it. That's how you know the elites are like, listen, we got to create this chaos, man, to get the people to take it, man. You know, where they're not gonna have any choice but to take it, and people are not gonna have any faith in Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. They don't know Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, so they're not gonna be able to escape it. All right, except for the elect that is calling upon Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to escape it, man. All right, to be delivered from it. You know, that's why we're warning y'all. All right, we're getting the blood off our hands. All right, we're warning and we're watching you and telling you about it, so our souls can be delivered, like the Lord told Ezekiel. All right, if you warn the wicked and the wicked, you know, if you warn the wicked and the wicked doesn't turn from his wicked way, all right, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity. But you have delivered thy soul. You have delivered your own soul because you told them about it, right? You warned them about it. And that's what we're doing, because we want our souls to be delivered. We're telling you that the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. All right. So it says the government needs to listen to the people and scrap digital ID. That's not going to happen, man. All right. It's going to come. It's going to come because it is prophecy, and you can't stop prophecy. You can't stop the word of the Lord. The Lord said, my word shall not return unto me void. All my words are faithful and true. You know? So I'll leave it at that, man. You know, just to let you know what's going on real quick. Just to let you know what's happening in the world, man. All right? So, you know, my point that I'm trying to make is that you got people that are bucking up against it. So the elites are going to create a type of chaos, man, that's going to force the people to take it, man. And that's what they're doing with this war. Because this war is going to create famine. It's going to create uproars and chaos in the streets. Is going to create civil war. You know, all of that. All right. So with that being said, you know, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazah, you know, this lesson is edifying, or was edifying, man. Call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quick Dash. On to the next one. Shalom.